Welcome back to She Talks Money, the podcast where we break down how to build wealth, take control of your finances, and create freedom in your life and business. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the real estate and financial space. Stephanie Nicole is a licensed realtor, real estate investing coach, and certified credit specialist. She helps everyday people build generational wealth through real estate, even if they're starting from scratch. So if you've been thinking about getting into real estate investing but feel overwhelmed, unsure where to start, or stuck because of your credit, this conversation is going to give you clarity, confidence, and next steps. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So I always love starting with the journey. So what inspired you to get into real estate, and how did your path kind of evolve into teaching others?
Well, I kind of got into real estate accidentally. So I was in the military and I actually went to combat. So I got out of the military. And then, even though I'm college educated, I got my degree while I was still, in the military. I could not find a job that paid enough. So I often would have like multiple jobs just to, I mean, it's a lot of bills. We have rent, more, rent, car insurance, car payments, everybody knows about bills. So I just to keep up with my bills, I started dancing late night, and one night I'm in the club, of course. And I'm just dancing. It's a slow night. I kind of get irritated because it's not like money in there. So then I'm like, okay, now I'm in here for no reason. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. And then there's this guy that comes over. He's slowly putting down $1 bills, like $1 every 5 minutes. And then he like motions for me to like come down to him. And he's like, oh, pulls out a $20 bill. He's like, have this 20 if you, I'll give it to you if you pull your panties to the side. So I catch an attitude. I go outside, go to my car, put my clothes on, and I'm like praying to God, like, God, why is it that there are certain people that have like a better life, that have purpose? And here I am struggling, taking my clothes off for $1 bills just to be able to survive. And mind you, I still like, granted, that was probably my highest paying job, but I like before that, anything like if my tire went out, or if like I needed to do a quick repair on something, that would have thrown me off enough to where it was like catastrophic to my financial situation. So I'm in the car like, how is it that there are people who are able to keep their head above water and I'm not one of those people? And this has been my entire life. I left my house when I was 16 years old, and I had been on the streets
Wow.
ever since. So I'm like, this is my entire life. Like, why am I not worthy? Or if I am worthy, what is my purpose? So then I just got something that said, okay, get on Google and Google how to become a millionaire. And a quote kept popping up like 90% of millionaires are made so through real estate. So that's how I ended up getting my real estate license. But before that moment, I didn't even know people owned houses, just because I was around people that rented, people on Section 8,
Hmm.
stuff like that. So I really thought that the housing was provided by the government. So I'm coming in with like blank slate. I thought a real estate license was the only way. But I'm thankful that I did that Google search and was, brave enough, I guess, to just go ahead and do it without
Hmm.
it.
I love that story. I worked in the service industry before I got into on the mortgage side, and I've told the story before, but I remember being at a gas tank and putting like the last 10 of my like $15 that I had to my name in gas to get to work that day. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
it was a slow night and I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. Like I have to do something where it's like my return is based on my effort, not just like is there a lot of customers at the restaurant tonight or whatever? So I love that you shared that. Um, did you always see from that point on, did you always see yourself as a businesswoman and investor once you got started? Or was there like a moment that changed everything for you?
No, when I got in, I struggled my first year because I didn't know anything. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have like Everybody's like, "Call your sphere of influence." Well, my sphere of influence is on Section 8, so who am I calling? So,
Right.
it was really, really hard. I never thought myself to be a business person. Actually, when I came in, I had like a W-2 mindset or like a tip mindset. I had a lot of like tip jobs, a lot of
Mhm.
W-2 jobs where they automatically paid you. So I didn't know when I got my real estate license that there was no pay. So
Mhm.
that was surprising to me. I thought that, once I got my real estate license, I was gonna be in the rooms and I was instantly gonna be a millionaire. It was gonna be easy, but it was not like that at all. So, the thing that changed the trajectory of where I was going because I was struggling. I sold one house to my
Mhm.
mother my first year, and then I did like some assistant work. So I probably made for the entire year $6,000. So,
Wow.
the next year, I just got so desperate that I got on Indeed, like, Google told me that I would be a millionaire if I got into real estate, so I'm like, "Where how do I do this?" So I I almost, took a job with Redfin, which would have paid, I wanna say $30,000 at the time, but then I started doing the math, I was like, I was making 30,000 more than $30,000 with my 2 jobs and my part-time stripping, so that would be crazy
Mhm.
to move backwards. So then I was like, "No, it has to be another way," and I started, pulling up all of the top agents in Richmond, like, researching who those people were, just figuring out what they did and who they connected with, and then just meeting, one person after another, I got connected to who is my mentor, a man that is my mentor to this day. And he just changed my life. Like just at first, it started off with me just coming in, like, I was like, "I will do anything for anybody, just somebody please help." Like,
Mhm.
I made $6,000, I'm not gonna be able to continue this, and I didn't have, like, a plan B, and I knew that if I quit this, that I would be going back to a situation where I am essentially degrading and devaluing myself for dollar bills. So this
Mhm.
had to work. So I just ended up finding my mentor. I started making all of his phone calls because I'm like, what can I take off your plate to where you can just at least hold my hand or show me what you're doing? And he was more of an investor. So that's how I got into the investment space. But, originally, I was just like a regular realtor. I started working with him, calling all his leads, just trying to get him deals so that he can, have a better short-term rental business. And in that, any
Mhm.
leads that didn't work for him, I would just put them on the market, and I became a top producing realtor. And then that was over maybe 2 or 3 years where I was like a top agent. And in that time, I still had the same lifestyle because I was just in the trenches doing as much work as I could. I never like I didn't change up where I lived. I didn't change up my car. So eventually I saved up like $400,000 in my bank account. And I went to my mentor. I'm like, "Oh, I have all this money. What do I do with it?" And he was like, "Well, let me know what you want your life to look like. Like, what does that look like at 50 years old? Like, what does your life look at 60 years old?" And then he was like, "I'm going to, you know, advise you to just start investing in real estate, start getting long-term rentals." So I just spent all of the money on on houses, and now I have a rental portfolio. So and then that was so smart because the houses that I purchased were already deals, but the way that the housing market has appreciated just over the last 4 years or so, it's been crazy.
Mhm.
Like, it's probably one of the best decisions I made.
Okay, I want people to go back and listen to that because I am famous for saying one of the things that just catapulted my husband and I's success, and I still will say is this decision is responsible for us having the ability to purchase some real estate that, like you, has done really, really well and set us up for success, like long term, was living below our means for as long as we did. I think so many people make the mistake of they get out and they finally start to make some money that they're like, okay, I've struggled long enough. I deserve to live this more lavish lifestyle. And then they end up blowing it all. But
Yeah.
here's you saved $400,000. I mean, look at how different your life is now because you did that and probably the real estate that you own now versus if you would have just right away started spending it. So
Mm.
such a great decision. And I hope people hear that message because it's like just a little bit of sacrifice of time to save that can make like the rest of your life difference, right? That's awesome. What advice would you give to women who are waiting to feel ready to start building wealth?
My advice is to start today because you'll never really be ready. Even when you start doing it, you'll question whether or not, this is the right thing, if you're ready, if you can do this. But I'm here to tell you now, you can do it. It's just, you just have to do one thing every day to be 1% better. And over time, that 1 plus 1 plus 1, you're at 100% better in 100 days. So if you never start, you're at zero. So my advice would be just to start.
I love that. Okay, so basics, and here's where a lot of people get stuck, right? Is at the credit stage. So, what are some of the most common myths or mistakes that you see when it comes to credit?
I think that people are using credit in situations that I don't think that credit is made for. So I see a lot of people borrowing money when they have to have money. Like you don't have a job, now you're in a desperate situation, you have bills to pay, they're piling up, and your first thought is to go get access to a credit card so you can pay all of these bills, but you still don't have a way to pay the credit card back. That, in my
Mhm.
opinion, is not what credit was made for. It was made to be leveraged so that you can put yourself in a better situation. So, I think the biggest mistake is using credit as, like, trying to save yourself rather than using credit to leverage what you're already doing.
Yeah, I like that. I talk to a lot of clients about like good debt versus bad debt, right? Like, are you going into debt because you're purchasing something that's going up in value, or like to your point, using credit cards and then just racking up unnecessary interest and just like then you get in this vicious cycle.
Mhm.
Um, so what do you think the first three things someone should do to prepare their credit and finances for buying real estate?
Number 1 is to actually pull your credit report. I think people just try to guess what they had going on or look at Credit Karma and think that's going to be accurate. When you're purchasing a house, you wanna know exactly what you're working with, so go ahead and pull the credit. Um,
Mhm.
I would just for credit to purchase a house,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
I would also, if you have any, like, credit card debt, I would pay it down just so that you have more room for your approval because all of your debts is going to kind of play into how much you are approved for. And this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I would buy the house before the car. I would not get into any type of car payments or loans of any sort with a car until I've purchased my house.
Yeah, that's a good point for sure. And credit cards too. I talk to a lot of people, and so many people, their credit score is low, really only because they have like quite a few like small credit cards, right? Like so, credit cards with $300 or $500 limits, and of course they're just maxing them out,
Yeah.
and that can significantly, obviously, drop your credit score. So before you have that credit pulled, if you have some of those small credit cards, just pay them down or pay them off before
Mhm.
you apply, and I mean, I've seen credit scores swing like 100 points, so that can make a big difference. Um, and I know I preach this, but so everybody hears it from you, is it possible to invest in real estate with less than perfect credit?
It is 100% possible to invest in real estate with less than perfect credit, but when you start getting into spaces where you don't have, like, the traditional things that people are looking for, you're gonna have to work harder. So,
Mhm,
you will now have to be the person that gets in front of a deal or know some lenders to partner with. So, while it
mhm.
is there are ways that you can purchase with less than stellar credit, the easiest way is to have your credit together.
Yeah, yeah. and or go into it house hacking too, right? Like you're going to buy maybe a multifamily and live in one unit so you can buy it as a primary. If you're going to live there, it's a little bit easier to get away with less than stellar credit versus flat out investment property too. Um, okay, so for someone brand new to real estate investing, where do you recommend they start aside from we know we have to look at credit and get the financing in order, but in terms of like what other advice do you have on what they should have together and where they should start?
If I were a brand new real estate investor, I would say have a 620 plus credit score, have at least like I will say 5,000 because I'm a veteran, so I can have access to different loans. So I have a VA loan, but if you're a veteran, have 5,000. If you're not, maybe 10,000. And then
Mhm,
start looking into, like you said, properties where you can house hack. They don't always
mhm.
necessarily have to be multifamily. And an example is that I'm to this day still living below my means just because I love to live for
I
free.
love it.
That's my thing. I just hate bills. This is the reason I got into real estate was it was just too many bills and I was overwhelmed and I'm here on this planet by myself. I'm single, no kids. I'm just trying to figure it out. So right now I live in a split level house. Um and then I blocked off so I had a downstairs and then it has a basement. I turned the basement into like an Airbnb space and people are renting it out right now and it pays my entire mortgage
Oh,
and electricity bill. So that's a way that you can house hack. You can buy multifamily properties, you can have a roommate. It's so many ways that you can start investing in real estate just to get your foot in the door and then think about if you house hack and now you don't have that rent payment. Now you can continue to use that payment you would have been paying and have somebody else cover that mortgage payment, but in the meantime, you continue to save that money in a different bank account and then use that to get into your second investment property, and then rent out
mhm.
the space that you were occupying. So that's what I would say if I was a new investor and I didn't have a whole lot of money and maybe my credit score isn't stellar. And just for the record, my credit score probably has at its peak been like a 715 or something. That's at its peak. I've never seen an 800. I don't even know how to get there. And then I don't think that granted, I was a high earner at the time I was selling so much real estate, but most of the time I'm not even a high earner. It's more like just thinking outside of the box and being willing to just do the work. I think a lot of people let fear hold them back. You just gotta
Mhm.
trust the process. Like, if somebody can show you with their real life examples that something is real, I think that should remove the fear from it, and you should at least try it.
I love that. And sometimes writing down your 2, 3, 5-year plans out in terms of, like, where do you want your life to be, and, I pin it up on my mirror, right? Like, remind me every day what I'm working towards, and it makes it a little bit easier to grind and, live below your means and not feel bad for yourself. So there's so many strategies like rental properties, Airbnb, long-term rentals, wholesaling, flipping. How should someone choose which path they should pursue because I think having their plan and the right strategy from the beginning is definitely helps for people to be successful. How do you think someone should go about thinking about that?
I think if you have multiple avenues, you should get with somebody who knows each avenue and explain your individual situation to them and let them give you what they think. Because I just think everybody has their own thing going on. Like you may not have the time for wholesaling. Maybe you're a full time person,
Mhm,
but maybe you do have, some money saved up where you can partner with somebody on a flip, but you may not be able to like handle the whole thing. So, I just think it's an individualized thing, but if I had to pick
mhm.
my favorite strategy for somebody who was brand new, no money, you just trying to come in a real estate business, you're a hustler, and you're just trying to stack up for a while and figure out the business, I would say wholesaling.
Okay. Awesome. Love that. Um, what is something you wish more people knew about real estate investing that doesn't get talked about enough?
Um, Everybody is worthy of housing. I think there are some people that look at real estate and think that it's something that they're not worthy of, or maybe they feel like it is only for the rich, or maybe they feel like they don't make enough money or have a good enough credit score, so they just avoid it. Anybody that wants to right now be a homeowner and has access to steady income and is willing to do the work, you can get into real estate investing and you can own your own home.
Mhm. I love that. Um, so that leads into a little bit about kind of the next few questions regarding mindset. What do successful investors think or do differently than like the average person, do you think?
It is definitely a whole mindset thing, and I think this is why I wasn't successful in the first year. Like, we as a society have been, like, trained and programmed and brainwashed into being who we are and having our certain belief sets. Sometimes you have to go back and figure and challenge certain belief sets. Like, one belief that I think is ingrained in a lot of people that holds them back from creating wealth is that, oh, rich people are evil. Or if you are a person of mass resources, that you must be taking from somebody. And because you have that ingrained in you, that you think that in order to be at that place, you have to sell your soul or do the devil's work or hurt somebody. Now you're holding yourself into poverty because you think poverty is righteous. You
Mm,
may have to go reprogram that.
yeah.
And that's just one example. It's so many more examples that you have to go back and reprogram your mind for success. Mindset is gonna be the biggest thing, and it's gonna be like the hardest hurdle to get through because some of this stuff has been programmed in you since you were, before you could speak. And
Mhm.
you're gonna have to, like, go back and figure out what these things are and how they're holding you back, and then challenge them. Like, all rich people are not evil. There are people out
Mhm.
here who attract large amounts of money, and they still do God's work. So,
Mhm.
that's just the whole thing on mindset.
I love that, and yes, everybody has a money story, right? And
Oh,
so many of ours need to be rewritten and go from that scarcity mindset to, "Wait a
yeah.
minute, no, not only do I have the ability to do this, I deserve it," right? I think so
Yeah.
many people just feel especially women, like, just don't
Yeah.
think that they deserve that because of where they're from or what they've done or whatever, and that's just not true. So I love that you're sharing your story. I think this is just gonna impact so many people and motivate them and inspire them. Um, can you share a mistake that you made early on and how it kinda helped you grow?
Oh, man, a mistake is not verifying people's credentials. Like, I did my first flip, I did a deal with somebody just because they was a licensed realtor. So I'm like, "Oh, if you're a licensed realtor, you must be a good person." And he was in the vicinity and he was a licensed contractor. So I'm like, "Oh, double whammy. We should be great." He ended up almost scamming me. And he had scammed a lot of people before he got to me. And I almost lost money. My saving grace was my mentor, my original mentor. When I went into the partnership with the guy that I did the flip with, I put a deed of trust on the property to secure my loan. The only reason that I even got my money back and I didn't make any money. I probably made like $5,000, but it took him so long that it wasn't even worth it. But, the only reason I was able to get any of my money back is because I had that deed of trust in place, and I started to foreclose on the property and was gonna take the property. And so he decided that he was gonna go in there, do some work, and try to flip it so that he can then make some money, but otherwise, he probably would've sat on that property to this day and never paid me back.
Wow.
I wish I had
Good
just,
good
done my more research on him, like, ask some people, verify his license, see, what his other because he had other projects. I never even talked to the lenders or looked at the dates, but now, yeah, I learned my lesson.
Yeah, definitely be careful who you go into business with, or right, especially with regard to real estate. Yeah, you have to be careful about that. What is one money move that changed everything for you? Do you have one?
Yes, house hacking.
Yeah.
Just getting that the housing is gonna be your largest payment of anything that you're paying most of the time, unless you just buying, like, crazy cars. If you can
Mhm.
get that payment covered in a place where you can then take that money to reinvest in other things or even just for breathing room, I mean, it changes your life. I don't wanna go back to paying any more bills.
Right, I love that. That's great. And, like, look at how creative you've been with it, right? You took what would have been a single family property and made it into a rental. So I always tell people, like, have an open mind. You know what I mean? If it's not gonna work out for you in a, like, more conventional way, like, figure out a way. And you
Yeah.
did, which is amazing. Um, so you're also a big advocate of for generational wealth, as am I. So what does that mean to you, and how can real estate play a role in that for people?
I am big on generational wealth just because I feel like in real estate, you have a unique opportunity to have an asset that you can actually touch and feel and see every single day that people can utilize. So imagine if you're that person that it doesn't take a whole lot of rentals to change your life. Let's just say you have
Mhm.
5, and at the time that you purchase them, they bring in, like, an extra $5,000 a month. Imagine you passing those same 5 properties down, when you're gone or dead within a trust, and you pass that down to your family. That it's not gonna be $5,000 anymore. By the time you repass them down, it could be $15,000 a month. And now
Mhm.
you're giving your family it's not even about the asset. You're giving them cash flow, monthly cash flow to ensure that they don't have to worry about the same things that you worried about. They don't have to worry about how am I gonna pay my electricity bill and have gas to go to work. Like, how am I going to, you know, fix my car that the tire just went out, but my bank account is already $7 negative? Like, I've been in those
Yeah.
situations. So, I just think that if my people before me had just started,
Mhm.
everybody would be in a better position.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because my husband and I just did a podcast, a solo podcast episode on this, like what wealth means to you, right? And that's different individually. Sometimes it is about money. But we had a conversation, and our views were a little bit different. Like for him, it was more like setting ourselves up for retirement and a certain lifestyle, yes. But for me, like I wasn't feeling safe, my wealth of safe, until I know my kids are set up for success too,
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
that doesn't mean, like, this unlimited trust fund, like, they don't have to work. It just means, like, I know they're never gonna struggle. I know they're gonna be okay, and that they have, like, in our case, real estate as well that could potentially also be passed on to their kids, and so we've kind of broken this cycle that we started with and created, further generational wealth, so I love that. Um so, last couple of questions. For someone listening today who wants to get started, what do you think are 2 to 3 action steps they can take, like, this week?
Number 1, check your credit, see where you are. Number 2, get on YouTube University, look up all of the strategies and see which one is in alignment with you first. And then 3, I would go on social media, unfollow all of these gossip pages, interest pages, like just whatever pages you're following, and start following all of the pages that are going to help push you to your goal that you have. And it goes back to what you were saying, writing down your goals is super important. There's a statistic out that says that you have a 70% chance of actually reaching your goal if you write it down. Like, it gives you an additional boost, like, for people
Wow.
people who write it down versus people who don't write down their goals. So just go ahead and write down your goals and then figure out everything that's gonna push you to the needle of your goals, and go on social media. You might have to mute some of your family members too. Don't unfollow your family and friends, but mute them, get them off your timeline, so then when you're consuming content, you're consuming things that push you to the next level.
I love that. My whole For You page on everything is real estate, money, investing. I think about it before I go to bed, and that's how it should be if that's what the path that you wanna take. So how can our listeners learn from you or work with you, and get their own investing journey started?
Yeah, you can follow me on all my social media is Stephanie Nicole RVA. And then my website is thebnbboss.com. And if you wanted to get on the wait list for any of my next classes, just go to the bnbboss.com/waitlist.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing your wisdom and just such an amazing real talk with us today. You broke down, what can feel like a complicated process, I think, to a lot of people and made it so much more approachable, and I love that. To everyone listening, whether you're working on your credit, you're saving for your first property, or ready to scale your portfolio, this episode proves that you don't have to be rich to start building wealth through real estate. You just have to be informed and take aligned action. So make sure to follow Stephanie and check out her resources if you're ready to turn your knowledge into income. And if you loved this episode, take a screenshot, take us both, and share your favorite takeaway. Until next time, keep making bold, powerful money moves. You've got this.